Hey, this is your boy Jay Steve from the Soul Fresh Podcast. And before we get started, make sure you go to YouTube, smash that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Now that that's out the way, let's get it.
All right, welcome back to the Soul Fresh Podcast. I'm your host, BK.
And I'm your host, Jay Steve.
Jay Steve, we back here again. We still here at the 100 Black Men event, breaking financial barriers.
Yes.
And we're going to have few guests to come on and talk about several different topics that are basically investments and just good information for our community. Mm-hmm. So we got a young brother on here. His name is Cy Browns. We're going to get him to come on and talk about the 4 keys to financial freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
4 keys.
That's the one I'm paying attention to.
Yeah, that's the one.
Because I think that's what we collectively need to be focusing on is financial freedom.
Yeah, financial freedom, how to get your credit right, how to be out there and make sure that you're taken care of in the long run.
Yeah, so let's give it up for Cy Brown.
Give it up. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Glad to be here, man. Thank y'all.
All right, man. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Cordell, Georgia, right down the road, off 75, born and raised. Moved up to Macon to go to school here at Mercer University. I was here for 5 years, did the whole school thing. I was able to get my bachelor's and master's in business administration.
Okay.
While being on the football team, while working like 3 or 4 different jobs.
Oh, like our last guest.
So you played football too? Okay.
Yeah. We actually played similar position. Well, we played the same position. He played safety. I played safety. We both played a little outside linebacker too. A lot of special teams. Yeah, just, I was a different person back then. I don't know how I played freaking football. Now that I look back at it, it's freaking train wreck every play. But my body's paying for it.
At least your mental is still here, though.
For sure. No, I'm better mentally now. Learned a lot. I wouldn't change it for anything. It was a great experience. Got my master's and bachelor's from Mercer. After that, I started in the real world. Mm-hmm. Been working I started late 2017, October 2017, I think I got my first job and been working pretty much since then. During that time, I was able to pay off $61,000 in debt.
And that's those student loans?
Student loans that were composed.
Let's give a shout out to that.
It's... And not to go past what you're saying right quick. It's funny, that was one of the questions I was actually going to bring up. Mm-hmm.
Let him...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say I paid it off in 2.5 years. And that took a lot of discipline. The keys that I'm gonna talk about, the keys that I talked about, it took a lot of discipline, discipline and grit. It took a lot of budgeting. Mm-hmm. Took a lot of getting rid of that debt, using the budget, and then just that desire to be different. Mm-hmm. So yeah, fortunate enough to be able to do that. Work my butt off. And sit here in front of you today as a financially free person. Okay, so go ahead and give us those 4 steps. Like, give us number 1 first. Okay, so first and foremost would have to be discipline. Mm-hmm. I feel like just within our community we lack that, whether it be with finances or just regular day life. We don't like to commit to things.
Right.
And so I want to be that beacon, that example for the youth in our community. Like, you can want to be like revered or remembered for something good. Mm-hmm. That's what drove me to be, the person I am. Just wanting to be different for something different. And that discipline, man, is like I said, it's hard when it comes to money because, like, being responsible with your money is hard and boring. Yeah,
because you got, like I always try to tell my son, there's so many different lists. You got your want list and you got your need list. And then, life is about that, battling that want list because you want it, but do you really need it? And I ain't gonna lie, I'm not perfect. So
we all aren't.
That's been one of my struggles. Like, when I want something, I'll get it.
Yeah, because you feel like you work hard. Like, man, I deserve this. You know what I'm saying?
I want to treat myself.
For sure.
But do I really need it? So I always have to kind of psych myself out sometimes. Like, B, you don't need it. You don't need it.
Right.
Yep. And sometimes I win, sometimes I don't.
But the biggest thing is that you're aware of that, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people aren't aware of the fact that it's me versus me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are just controlled by social media. Oh, I see such and such with the Alexander McQueen. I gotta
get it.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, Lil Baby was in such and such. Like, Bro, that has nothing to do with who you are and where you are in your life. Like, you need to be trying to put things together and in place to so you can set up like generational, or have a generational impact. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let me ask you that quick question. When we're talking about discipline, but let's keep it real. So when we're focusing on the Black community, is it more about how bad do you feel like we struggle with trying to keep up with the Joneses? And like you gave that example on social media. Because I see that we're more into a culture of where it's all about keeping up with what's going on. I got to get those J's. I don't have but $200, but I'm gonna spend my only $200 on these J's, or I got to get this. And there's that misconception or conception that we always dressing up for people.
Even though I'm going to wear them probably twice a year.
Yeah, and just
at the most.
And just that comparison, everybody always uses the comparison to Black millionaires to some of the other white millionaires versus that. This guy's driving around in a Cadillac that is from 2000 such and such, but yet we feel like we got to get the brand new things.
Right.
So is that a thing, or is that just based on perception?
No, it's definitely a thing. Like, just coming up, in the town that I'm from, Cordele, Georgia, like, I see it today. Like, people are content. Our people are content. The people that I grew up around, like, the leaders in our community are content with having a shack to live in.
Right.
But they got the BMW parked out front. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is backwards. And you have somebody like Tosin in there who went up after me talking about real estate and how important it is. That's where you should be, like, trying to invest your money into. Those are the things that you should be, like, looking forward to. But we don't have that that literacy, and so that's why. And to even get to that point, you have to be disciplined. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and it's just hard. Discipline is hard. And we've been fighting this battle for however many years, and we don't understand that, like, it doesn't have to be a lifelong battle. Like, for me, it took 2.5 years. Now I'm different. Like, the trajectory of every generation after me, if me and my girl decide to have kids, they're gonna be good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want kids right now, but if I were to have a kid right now, I'd be okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the situation for, like, a lot of people in our community.
Yeah, and in our community, that's one thing you actually have to plan for.
100%.
I think people just feel like we're in love and I want to have kids.
Right.
But you're not looking at the financial responsibility of.
I want 3. I want 4.
Yeah,
Man,
but
I in school, I forget the study we were doing, but it costs from the time a child is born until they are 18, $250,000.
Yep.
At least. That's what you're gonna spend on that kid.
And now they
and that's low maintenance.
but look,
You gotta think these
you
days.
can say 18, but now what I'm starting to see now is these whole things on social media where stop putting your kids out of the house at 18.
Yeah.
Let them stay there as long as you want. So now they're moving the whole trajectory to like 25.
Man.
So
And we have to keep nurturing them.
And I don't
They're
think,
not grown.
honestly, like, if you're somebody like me who has a plan, and I really wished my grandparents were still alive, like, once I finished school, I wouldn't have mind, like, being able to work remotely, but, like, with the plan, you know what I'm saying, save up and then, go and attack that plan. You know what I'm saying? But now it's just, you're living there and you don't have anything set up. Like, you don't have anything you're working towards.
Right.
So it defeats the purpose of, like, just having something you want to do. Like, you don't have that drive, you don't have that want to, which is something else I'll talk about. So.
Real quick, before you go to your next key, and I believe J. Steve's got a quick question.
Yeah.
But while we're on the conversation of education, school, and paying off debt,
For sure.
what's the whole new idea of, as far as your theory on parents saving up for kids' education? That narrative is actually changing. They're like, I'm not even doing it. Now, I have a great savings plan for my kids, but it's not necessarily the whole idea, traditional way of saving up for college. She can do whatever she wants. I'm actually looking long-term versus here's her first down payment for a crib, and because, for like real estate versus there are other means and ways to get money for college.
Yeah.
So what is your theory on the narrative of saving for college?
Honestly, to be honest, I haven't really thought about that. because for me, it was just like I grew up around a whole bunch of people that were still trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And my grandparents, well, specifically my grandfather, because he was like the leader or whatever. He was in a whole bunch of debt because he was trying to keep up with the Joneses. And this was a guy who was like a really, really nice, like great public figure within the community. He was the first black head of the sanitation department. Like he had like 2 or 3 different churches, like pastor, you know, really good guy, but just wasn't good with money. And so like we struggled because of that, you know what I'm saying? And he put on this good show for, you know, like the city, but we're dealing with him every day.
Right.
So I can't necessarily speak on like what people do as far as saving up for their kids. I think it's a good idea. Why not? You know, help your kid put their best foot forward with whatever it may be, school, home, or whatever. But I can't really speak to that.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, no, I really didn't have a question. I was just going to go ahead and transition right into, was that discipline leading into your next part, into your second key?
Yeah, that second key, budgeting. Yeah, budgeting. Yep. And so in order to budget, you got to have that discipline, right? And I think it's probably the most simple, but yet most critical part to obtaining that financial freedom.
Right.
Most people, and it's simple because all it is giving every dollar you make a job. You know what I'm saying? This money is going towards stuff. And, you know, I think it's just like, once you start to list out those things, you'll see like, I'm paying this, and this for what? Like, because, you know, a lot of people make $100,000 a year. You don't, like, there's so many people make good money, but at the end of every month, they don't know where their money went because they don't have a budget. It's just, you know, they're just flying by the seat of their pants, you know, and not really getting their thoughts together, their finances together, and listing them out. Because it scares them.
What I've always heard, now that's true because it scares them. That's what I was just about to say. A lot of people I've talked to in the past, when it comes to the budgeting part, excuse me, they're scared to see what they're spending their money on. They're scared to tell themselves, all right, this month, I can't go eat at this fancy restaurant that I like to go to every couple of weeks. Or this month, I can't buy that new jacket that I wanted to go out and get, because they realize if I do that, I might be broke. Then I can't pay for my lights or my water so I can have an everyday life and live. So is that all the major issue is there is just fear mostly?
I think that's the biggest one, but and that's like that goes into like the other issues we face as a community. Is like we are so set on keeping up with the Joneses that we will suppress what really matters. Like what really matters doesn't matter, because I'm interested in what Kim and Kanye are doing, what they got going on, you know, like that the escapism. You know what I'm saying? They use the money that they are getting wrong and they use it to escape like real world situations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah,
like you're here in this world.
Exactly.
And if you don't budget correctly, guess what? You might not even be able to witness some of the stuff that's going on, because if you don't have a TV or a house or something like that,
exactly,
you can't follow all of that what I call crap.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't care. People talk about the Kardashians, I be like, I'm going in the other room.
Yeah. So our priorities are messed up, man, for sure.
What kind of tools we got out there for budgeting?
Oh, so yeah, for me, I'm really old school. I drew one up in my notes, man. And because like I was saying, like I wanted my list to be short, like I used just my notes and on my iPhone, man. Like it's that simple.
Yeah.
Like just a running list of things I pay for. You know, you put a little box on it. You know, list out like the numbers and everything, and just make sure you have like spaces for everything. You know what I'm saying? But you have I forget, Every Dollar is a good finance tool. They have like Dave. I think it's one to help people like with budgeting and stuff like that. There are a lot of resources, man. Like you don't have an excuse.
Yeah, I used one a while back. It really wasn't that great for me. It was a great app. It was like YNAB or
Yeah, I've heard of that too.
Yeah.
My friend put me on to that one, but I was just
It
like,
was-
man, I'm old fashioned, man.
It was real cool because you associate your bank accounts with it, but
Exactly, you can hook them up to it. Yeah,
right. But me and my wife, we have so many different bank accounts, and money's getting moved to so many different places. It's not really calculating the true budget.
not efficient. Yeah,
So I said, this is not working. So what I did was, for my own self, was I got an organizing book, a life organizer, and in the back it's got some pages where I can write some stuff down.
Yeah.
So I've actually been trying to be more proactive this year. I'm not horrible at budgeting, but I'm not good at it either because I'm a digital person. Like, I get the email with what I just bought, so I just trying to keep up with it mentally.
Yeah.
But I've been actually more. I feel like I've been better with writing it down and seeing.
and that's
that.
another thing too. That's a credit to you too, because a lot of people don't even like to go and see like their bank statements.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it scares them. It's like, I spent what on what? Yeah, no, but that's a credit to you, man. Like a lot of people don't even do that.
Yeah. And I started to realize, like, man, I need to cut back on Amazon. You know? All right. So, what's number 3?
Number three is eliminating debt. Like using that budget to eliminate your debt. Yep. And for me, and I don't want, debt to. I don't want to come across as saying like or treating debt as like a bad thing. Because like the whole concept of financial freedom to me is just being able to live a comfortable life above debt.
Right.
So I mean, I understand like if you're not just like a millionaire, then you probably gonna have debt, and especially if you want to build up your credit, you're gonna have to use those types of tools. But it's just when you can't. Okay, say I have $3,000 in my savings account. Well, actually, I'll go back. So there was a note my girlfriend she sent to me on Instagram the other day, and it was from UberFacts, and it was like, 40% of Americans, like if an emergency were to happen that cost them $1,000, they wouldn't be able to afford it. You know what I'm saying? And
That's
so
sad.
then when you think about that, 80% of Americans are actually in debt. 40% of them can't even cover it.
Yeah.
So that's when it becomes a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not being able to afford the debt that you have. Like as long as you can pay it back, I feel like you're good.
Yeah.
But if you get into a point where you just like a lot of people are like $91,000, like on average, that 80% of Americans, they owe $91,000.
Yeah.
So if you don't have it like that, like you should, think about the way you're handling things, or try to work to start eliminating that debt.
Yeah. And
Speaking-
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Speaking of debt, I saw somewhere the other day, actually, I wrote this down because I just happened to come across it. Student loans were wiped out for 16 million people the other day by the government.
Really? Is that
Yes.
true?
Yeah. Well, I did see a few people on my timeline on my Facebook said,
I'm so jealous.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
My student loan has, been wiped out or whatever. So, that might be a thing.
Yeah, and that was
I don't
the
know.
question I wanted to ask you. So, how important or how impactful is that on building those people's credit? That one day they just knew they had all these loans, and then boom, it's just all gone.
Yeah.
Is that where the real discipline comes in now for those people who just had their debt wiped away?
No, honestly, I'm gonna challenge you here and say that's really not a good thing.
Okay.
Because somebody took care of your obligation. You know what I'm saying? What did you learn from that?
Yeah.
You learned that
Yeah.
if I can run up this debt. I can
Right.
do.
I see
Somebody
exactly
will
what
take
you're
care of.
saying.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody's gonna because you already thinking like, man, they'll get their money back when I get ready. You know what I'm saying? You already thinking like that anyway, and then somebody pay it off.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
To me.
I get what you're
Right.
saying.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's why I want to
the
ask
lesson
you
that you
about that's a
learned,
problem.
I think what you going through that journey
Exactly.
gave you a little bit more respect for your money and how to move
For
it versus
everything,
if somebody
yeah.
just said, "Hey man, I take care of that for you, bro."
Yeah.
You'd probably go build up some more debt.
For sure. That's what they're going to go do.
Yeah.
I don't have this, so man, I can just go running back up to that number and hope and wish that somebody else come through and save the day again. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
So on the importance of budgeting and eliminating that debt, I guess it also, when you are financial free, you can move different. So, because I guess one thing that I didn't learn when I was younger was that interest rate.
Exactly.
And
With
how
the
that-
whole, because people really think they be out here running off on like banks and stuff.
Yeah.
Bruh, you're gonna pay them back,
Oh, yeah.
and the longer you take to pay them back, the more you're gonna pay them.
Yeah. So when I was young, I'm like,
And it's going to keep
all I was
eating your
worried
credit.
about was the car payment. Like, man, I got the money. Like, you say $300 a month, bet, got it. Didn't realize that you're telling me like I'm 20 something, 21, 22, like interest rate 19%. Like I don't pay for the car 3 times. You know, and I just think that that's the conversations that we got to be having because, and it's not on my folks. My folks, I think they did pretty good, but as we're talking about here, it's got to be more than just saying save your money, save your money. How to save my money,
100%.
how to get debt free, and you know, and going deeper into talking about how to get debt free and focusing on this interest rates and knowing that if your debt is a little bit lower, then you get a better interest rate.
Exactly.
You know?
And the lower your debt is, the closer you are to financial freedom, right?
Yeah.
So
And then some people also put you in debt, but we're not going to get into that.
No.
what you mean?
You know, when you get our age and stuff like that, you know, you run into some things and some people that
Gotcha.
kind of leave your pockets not how they were when you first. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Although sometimes you got to watch out for the hook. Though.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Shout out Goody Mob.
Yeah. So what you got on number 4, man?
Number 4 is just that want to, man. The concept of want to, you know, that burning desire to just, for me, it was just wanting to be different for a good reason.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like people are so okay with just being the same as like, and mimicking other people. And, you know, they just end up being like the person that they mimic. You know what I'm saying? Like not really having that individuality. I don't think that's taught that much, you know, and just like being your own person and not being afraid to be the smart kid, you know, the one who makes the right decision most of the time, you know, like, yeah, I get it. You're going to have like people are going to be in your corner. You want people to be in your corner, but people shouldn't always have to go out of their way to help you when you make mistakes. You should take accountability. Right. Another concept I feel like we don't teach enough. You should take accountability in the actions you make. Right. You know what I'm saying? That way you can set yourself up for financial freedom, and the generations after you have it as well. Like that's what it's about. So yeah, just that wanting to. And you know, for me, I like a lot of people talk. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm about the action, like paying off that debt. Like I didn't care what anybody had to say. Like, you know, I would get people's opinions about this, that. Like, man, I'm going to do this because I know 80% of America is not going to be like me. Right. You know, I'm going to be different from 80% of the people in America. That means something to me. Right. You know what I'm saying? So
there's that want to.
Yep.
Just another quick question. You know, I know all of this is, we've taken it to financial freedom. But credit is still a big part of all of this. What is the best way for people to build their credit up?
The credit, well, for one, paying back debt, right? The more you pay back debt, like the better, like, cause I'll tell you, like my credit score before I started my debt-free journey or whatever, like it wasn't as like man, I've seen like it go up at least 80 points. You know what I'm saying? Over the span of 2.5 years, like, you know, people have like these different hacks and different seminars they hold about, hey, you can do this, but it goes back to what I was saying about like the guy taking your credit and or not your credrit, but your debt and just wiping it away. Right. Like what does that really teach you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you really learning from that? Like, yeah, you want to work smarter, not harder, but at the same time, you need some hard work. Right. You know what I'm saying? You need some hard work to teach you that discipline. You know what I'm saying? So you can teach that to your kids. Right. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? So paying off debt is one way. I think kind of like what you were saying about like the whole like setting your kids up for success. I've heard where some people take out credit in their kids' names. You know, and build their credit like that. Like, and you know, by the time they get to college or whatever, like they have like a credit score and they can do whatever they want, you know?
I just posted a video on that where this guy was explaining the importance of that. He said, when my kids were young, I got a credit card in their name and I would just buy little stuff with it. And by the time they got in college, they had a credit score of already like 700-800 or whatever. Exactly. Because you know when we start out 18, we don't have no credit because we hadn't done anything.
Exactly.
And so that right there just changed the whole narrative as far as how I'm thinking of like, we not talking about that because I didn't even really think about that. Right. You know? Yep. And that's a good idea.
A really good idea. So you have those two, and then Well, really just paying what you owe, like actually trying to get credit. People, like he said, some people don't have credit. So, taking that step to start your credit journey and building that credit and just being responsible.
And what about some of those credit companies? Some of them these days are saying, "Oh, you can get a card with us through Experian or through, whatever the names are." How efficient do you think those are? How
I don't know. I don't think I've heard that before.
Yeah, I've been noticing that. There's like, oh, you want to be able to build your credit back up. Now, such and such has a card. You can get this almost like a secure credit card, basically. But the credit companies themselves are setting this up.
That's crazy.
So that's why I was wondering. I saw that and I kind of
I don't know if I trust credit companies.
Right, that's what I kind of wanted to.
One thing you got to watch out for those cards. The main pitch looks good, but then in that small print, you'll see something like 29% interest rate.
Right. And so for me, I'm
crazy
such a
interest rate.
I'm such a stickler though. Like for one, I'm not gonna get a credit card that I'm having to pay an annual fee on. Like that's rule number one for me. Like if I get a credit card, I don't need to be paying you back twice, basically. I don't care how many perks you give me. And then what was the other thing? You were saying something. I interrupted you. I'm sorry, but I was finna speak on that. I forget. But definitely don't want to take out a credit card or get a credit card that has a credit limit on it. And just paying it back on time.
Yeah.
Like what's so hard about that? Like if you gonna buy something on credit, you should have the money to pay it back.
Exactly.
Like, and being transparent when you're talking about your credit score. Paying that.
That's big.
Keeping that credit card balance is what I learned coming up as an adult is keeping that thing under half does so much for your credit. Because once you go over that particular percentage of your credit card, but then I also noticed that when you pay it back, you'll notice how your credit score goes just by putting it back under that threshold.
Very true. Very true.
All right. So before we wrap it up here, you got anything you want to plug?
I have I'm a small business owner. Shout out to my cousin CK the Legend. I own half of GPP Lifestyle, where the mantra is grind, pray, progress. We're not the most religious people, but we do feel like that's a great mantra to live by. As long as you're grinding and praying, you should see some type of progress in your life.
Okay.
Also do music. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Dude Dynamic.
What kind of music?
Rap music.
Okay.
And so
you said Dude, D-U-D-E, Dynamic?
Yep, and that's Dynamic with a K.
That's my space.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing that for about, haven't been doing it for about the last 3 years, but as far as production, I've been doing that. Yeah, me and him, we used to have a group back in the day.
That's cool, man.
So, but I started out in the whole, that's how this came about. But,
That's
just
what's
from
up, man.
that whole production, engineering, life and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm interested in listening to that.
That's dope.
What else you got for us?
Dude Dynamic on all social media. That's one word. That's Dynamic with a K. And no, I just thank you guys for having me, man. I really do. I love what you guys are doing, man. This is what we need.
Yes, conversation.
Exactly.
And being transparent.
And I was just about to say that. I like what you said about being transparent. Not only about like credit scores, but also about like money in general. Like people are afraid to tell you how much they make. People are afraid to show you their it's like so taboo to see like, people's finances and stuff like that. But how are you gonna know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How can these people feel like they can relate to you if they're not seeing the real you?
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I always try to be transparent, man.
It's funny you mentioned that. Few podcasts back, I mentioned that where having those conversations even in the workspace is because how do you know you're not getting screwed over if you're not talking to such and such?
Exactly.
People don't want to, but they make it so. The companies make it so taboo.
Oh, you making this much?
Yeah.
Like,
y'all shouldn't be discussing that though anyways.
But if you do discuss it, yeah.
Right.
Even if you do discuss it, you find out that, wait a minute, something ain't right here.
Something ain't right.
And that takes people being honest with themselves too, because it's like, okay, Jim may make X amount more than me, but let me look in the mirror. Okay, what skills does he have that I don't? Okay, so that's real. He is better at communicating than I am. I am a little bit, I do be late sometimes. It's that and the third, but like it takes that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna compare yourself to somebody, then you got to be real. You can't just be comparing yourself saying like, oh, we work the same job. We should be making the same money. Nah, you don't bring to the table what Jim brings to the table. You know what I'm saying? Like regardless of if Jim is black or white. Like
Right.
What do you bring to the table? And that goes back to that accountability too. People don't want to look themselves in the mirror and have those honest conversations.
That's true.
That's what it's going to take for us to get out of where we are. You know what I'm saying? We've been going around this same mountain for however long.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take, man. Just honesty, transparency.
And that's so true, brother. Thank you so much for
All right, let's
joining us.
Let's go ahead and give it up for Cy Brown. Yeah, man, we appreciate you coming through and checking us out. Once again, we're here at the 100 Black Men event, Breaking Financial Barriers. We had Cy Brown here, our last guest. He came to talk about 4 keys to financial freedom, which is an important conversation that we have to keep having in this community. And if you don't understand what I mean by this community, I'm talking about the Black community. For sure. So only reason why I'm excluding everybody else is because it's important for our people to be informed and to have this level of knowledge to keep moving forward to make our communities better. You know, it starts from the ground floor. So definitely want to give another shout out to 100 Black Men, Emerging 100, and also the Collegiate 100. They're out here doing big things today, 1680 Broadway. If you do hear the cars and everything, you know, we're right here by the road. So we're going to make it do what it do, though. So once again, I'm your host, BK.
And I'm your host, J. Steve.
Peace.
Thank you for checking out another episode of the Soul Fresh Podcast. If you want to catch the audio version, make sure you go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want to check out the video version, make sure you head on over to YouTube. And when you get there, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and go ahead and turn on that notification bell. And in the meantime, until the next time, keep it 100, be blessed.